everybody, and thanks for stopping by. This is the first in a series of videos related to building Eddie Van Halen related guitars. Now, this first series is Franky with a Tom Anderson neck on it, and if you can deal with the less than professional audio, I think you'll still get a lot of good info on this guitar, on its creation, its history, and we'll go through some of the myths and speculation and everything else that is Eddie Van Halen guitars. And if you have a guitar that you want to see built, hit me up. Contact me below, leave a message, do something, and I'll get it on the list. The next series after this one is a full 5150 full relic that turned out excellent. But for right now, enjoy this series on Franky, and you'll see what it takes to build one accurately and to pull it off the best that we can. Thank you for stopping. Okay, so we're getting into a part that's kind of tricky. And this entire ledge of the belly cut. Now, the majority of the exposed wood is on this side of the belly cut, not down into it. But it overlaps just slightly. Chris did a really good job with this belly cut because that's dead on. You can feel the edge right along here. So it works out just right. But the hard part is getting this all lined up so that this stripe makes sense. This stripe will end up making sense, and where this wear is. So what I do is I draw in right here where some of these marks are. And I know the width of right there is about right there. I'll kind of line up the two holes, kind of very lightly give me an idea of where that is. And once I know where that part is, now I can come in here manually and do this. So I know that the whole area is kind of defined roughly inside of this area. Okay, so what I just did was I drew the boundaries here and here in this part, and then I drew where this colored from the faded to the full color goes. So now I can put this right here on the table underneath the guitar and have it stick out, and I can work on just this area. But first of all, we got to get this whole area first laid down. This is that long edge of the belly cut. And I want to mark where this little point is as a reference mark. And I'm going to do that by just putting a little mark right there, knowing that that's the tip. Right here, this is the entire cutout section. Okay, so you can see right there how we've gone all the way around, and it's all one complete piece. Okay, I'm going to spend some time now getting this large piece on, getting it lined up, and then I'll go in and all the little detail that's still on the vinyl. All these little pieces need to go in and make up all this detailed work in here. We've now got what we need, where we need it. Now, this is not every single exposed piece of wood on the entire guitar. But what we do have is some of the more intricate parts that need to be done. So when you look at the back on there, this area is correct. Everything lines up. So this area has some very thin black all in through here. And this area behind here is very thin black. And all the marks that are here that expose some of the wood, we use just a razor with. So we'll have no problem with that. So at this point, I'm pretty confident that we can go ahead and spray. We're going to cover up this entire humbucker area. I'll show you how to flip up the edge of the tape here so that you get that misting of the red that comes down into here. No idea why he taped that off to make that white. Just one of those Eddie things, I think. So there's also a circle. I think it's around 11 millimeters, if I remember correctly, that goes right here. There was a red jewel, little cheapy plastic jewel that was placed here when after he painted it red, and it may have still been wet. But when he placed it there, then he eventually removed it. It shows the white underneath with a very soft edge. It's not a really defined edge, it's a soft edge. Start doing strips of this, and where this starts is about right here. And I'm going to go all the way around and really just cover up that round over. Okay, I took about 3 minutes there. But I went ahead and covered that edge where we know that there's a lot of wear. And I stop it right up here because I'm going to continue with the razor to get it to blend into this start of the belly cut here. So I'm going to pull out some reference photos, make sure I get these areas right, and then we'll shoot the black. Okay, so I wanted to show you a couple reference photos. And this is approximately about right there. And you can see how much he removed when it was still just black and white. And the red goes right over it. You can see the red goes right over the bare wood. You can see how much is removed on this back edge. Fairly certain that he did all that with a razor. In fact, you can even see some of the scrape marks. So you can see how he did that, probably running a razor right down in those areas. So on the front you can see it's really removed quite a bit of, the black and the white where it's exposed wood, and the red went over top of it. So I know that there was a couple weeks where he didn't play any shows, and as soon as he returned from that 2-week break, the guitar was painted red. So it was during that 2-week period that he really did a lot of this. And we know with this upper stripe right here that goes across that it comes out and finishes about like that. And we're going to do one over on this side. And that's going to mimic the scraping. Now, one of the things he did also down here is right along the same lines, and we're going to pull off the straight edge here. Don't want that. And now make your point, tear off a little, and do that. So now you got a point to point. And we know that there's one that goes right across here because I marked it. And we got a stripe right there. And I might do another one. Okay. There's a big one there. So there's my 2 end pieces right there that I just added. Now there are a couple pieces down here. Because I marked it on the front and the back where these lines are, I know that I can line these up and what helps is to do it a little bit narrow, because it'll allow us to have the black show through. And there's your bottom piece right there. That's where you want to go. It's about where you want to stop too. There we go. That is now ready for black. I'm going to start with a light misting, very light coat, and then I'm going to come in and do heavier. I'm going to do heavier up in here, and I'm going to do heavier down in here, but I know that it's light here. It's a little bit light back in here, and I know where it is on the back that's light. But everywhere else will get it fairly heavy. So I'm going to spray that using the Duplicolor Universal Black. I'm going to mist it, get a light coat, then I'm just going to let it dry. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do another coat of black. And then we get to remove all this stuff. So, fun. I'll be back. Okay, so I wanted to show you the body after we sprayed it black. You can still see where the vinyl is. You can see from the little reflections there. And you can see a little bit of grain that's still there, but mostly it's very, very, very flat. And that's fine. We want some grain to show. But now what we've got to do is start removing every piece that we want to remove, except for this little guy and this little guy. If you can see that. And typically, if you look at these screws, you're going to see the screw hole, some bare wood, then you'll see a little bit of black, and then the white around it. And then sometimes even the red after that. So we're going to take some 400 sanding paper and rough up this whole surface. We don't want it shiny at all. Ed's has tons and tons of sanding that looks like it was done on his guitar. Either it was through normal wear and tear, or it actually was sanding before he painted it white. Leaves in certain spots, it's always random, a little bit of the adhesive. If you just buy a can of naphtha, it's handy to have around as well because it gets almost anything off. We're going to take this on white paper towels and we're going to wipe down the adhesive, flip it over, and then wipe that off, because what it does is the naphtha kind of dissolves the adhesive and then we got to remove it. Use the razor, and you want to hold it almost parallel to the body. Otherwise you start digging in, and you don't want that. You still want that clear defined mark that you've made from the adhesive or from the vinyl. And then when you peel it off, and I'll fold it once, fold it twice, and then I rip it in half. So now I've got, this section can be used for 3 or 4 different areas. Pour it on there, you're going to wipe, flip it over, wipe off the excess, and you're going to keep doing that. One side gets it really kind of wet and gets the process started, the other side wipes off. When you have a bunch on there, unfold it in half, add a little more, and just keep going. Right now I'm just going to follow through and remove everything and get it ready to clean up. Because once we clean that up, the naphtha has a little bit of an oily residue to it. So after this is all removed, I then take a very light soapy water, warm water with just the tiniest bit of soap in it, and I wipe everything down. That's another reason why having that wood sealed helps, because we don't want to get anything in there. And once you completely wipe it down with the soap and then a dry cloth and everything else, and that's when we're gonna sand to kind of rough up and take the shine off of the entire body. And then we're going to start putting the large cut pieces of vinyl that already have the stripes built into them, and we're going to line things up. But you'll see that that's the right color. That vintage mixed color is just right for coloring that body. Now, if you were going to do a 2005 version, I may have gone with a drop of brown added to the yellow, to that vintage amber, because it is browner today than it was 20 years ago. So all the detail in here, this all has to come off. So after it's all cleaned up, soap, water, the whole thing, we start taking this razor, and there's nothing here so I can kind of show you, and we just start doing this all over the body. And sometimes you want to do it in a sweeping motion. So what you've done is you're taking some of the shine off, but you're also adding some of the scratches. And then I come in with the 400, which this is a little piece of 400, and we're just going to do long sweeping motions and try to hit it all directions. And when you wipe it off, the scratches look somewhat randomized and worn. And we're going to do that over the entire body. So